Oh my god, what is with all the cutscenes? Marvel Rivals, ladies and gents, prepare to have your eyes bombarded by a never-ceasing animation spectacle every time you click a button on any given menu. Enjoy having your butt handed to you over and over by Iron Fist and Hawkeye. What about having a cute little shark devouring you for 7 hours while it runs halfway across the map to spit you off a cliff? And don't forget those hypermobile or constantly flying heroes that half the roster can't touch. But hey, at least the super heroines look like beautiful women again. Yay! But hey, I cry and all because I'm a whiny little skank, but Marvel Rivals isn't all that bad, for I actually enjoyed the time I spent in it so far and will most likely spend many more hours playing. As it stands, I have much more fun than frustration with my time in Marvel Rivals, which is not something I can say about Overwatch 2. Yes, there will be many comparisons to that disaster in this video. So after putting in a decent number of hours over the weekend, I felt like it would be a good time to give my first impressions. So sit back, charge your lasers, wrap your fists, and let's take a dip into Marvel Rivals. Yeah, Marvel Rivals. Hello fellow gaming enthusiasts, Jarek Defiler, the not-so-patient gamer here, breaking away from my usual patient gaming philosophy to give my first impressions on Marvel Rivals from the perspective of a more casual gamer. Normally, I don't play games on release, generally waiting 6 months or more for prices to drop, bugs to be fixed, and patches to be rendered, but I don't mind taking part in free-to-play games on release as the only thing I may lose is time, precious as it may be. So I dived into Marvel Rivals when it came out on Thursday, December 5th, and I must say that I have been enjoying myself a great deal. The gameplay is fun, the level design is decent for the most part, the hero pool is adequate thus far, and the overall gameplay loop is well-paced and intriguing enough to keep me coming back for more. There's obviously a plethora of inspiration taken from Overwatch and other hero shooters, as some characters even have identical kits, sometimes in the worst ways. Fucking hate Hanzo. That said, there is still a decent amount of innovation here that sets Marvel Rivals apart from its competitors. For one, we have the interesting synergy mechanic that allows certain heroes to have some team-up bonuses with other heroes. For instance, Rocket and Jeff, the stupid annoying piece of shit shark, can team up with Groot by riding him and getting a damage reduction buff. Or Luna Snow can benefit Namor, no, it's always going to be Namor to me, by providing him with an ice squid. Little things like that. These are impactful but not oppressively so, given everyone has the ability to obtain them depending on their hero choices. So if the other team has synergy bonuses but you don't, only you can be blamed for not choosing a hero that synergizes with your team. That said, these bonuses also feel fairly balanced. Sure, some might be stronger than others, but ultimately there isn't any that feel overpowered as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I've gotten matches where the enemy team had synergies and mine didn't, and we didn't feel like we were at a disadvantage at all, even though we technically were. But I think that's good balance, you feel me? I mean, if it doesn't feel bad, then it's fine, right? Marvel Rivals also sets itself apart from other hero shooters by allowing destructible environments. Sexy. However, I was somewhat disappointed in this feature. Given the trailers and marketing videos, which I'd never trust, I was under the impression that you could do some Battlefield 4 levels of destruction, taking out entire blocks or buildings, a whole herd of orphans, you name it. However, the destruction seems fairly regulated to specific spots, like certain bridges or balconies, some walls, or certain buildings, and it's always the same ones on each map. I could be wrong because I didn't really test this out, just saw in real time, but I don't think you can just, say, level the entire map, which would have been pretty sweet, not gonna lie. Still, there is some decent amount of environmental destruction that can change the flow of the battle. I myself had many fights lost due to my opponent using their thinker nut to smash the ground out from under me, making me miss a shot or ability, or leaving me in a vulnerable position. It was pretty funny and effective, and at the end of the day, fun. Even when I was on the receiving end. It just makes me laugh a lot of the time, so yeah, pretty neat feature as limited as it is. And moving on to the map design, this can be hit or miss to be honest. That's one thing I rather enjoyed about Overwatch was its map design. There was generally always multiple routes you could take and different pathways and verticality with decent choke points when necessary. They weren't all perfect, but I feel that for the most part they were well designed and fun. In Marvel Rivals, I enjoy the maps to a certain degree, but they do feel much more claustrophobic at times, especially the indoor ones. There are a lot of tight hallways, sometimes linear pathways, and lack of bigger open areas that we see in other franchises. There are some, but just not as much as I'd like personally. And there's also a great deal of dead ends. This was something I noticed right off the bat. I would be following the team out of the spawn and I would cut around on a different path in an attempt to flank the enemy, only to find that this path I was spending several precious seconds following would simply loop back around to the main path or end up in a dead end, or a room where the only way to exit is the way I came, or an upper level area that only heroes with a ability can reach. So this would leave me either burning a cooldown to access that upper level, or simply being forced to go back the way I came because not every hero has a mobility skill. There are also some hefty balance issues as well when it comes to maps, specifically defense versus offense balancing. I'll expound on that a little later, but other than that, I thought the level design was fine overall. In Quick Match, which is what I pretty much solely played, the different game modes are your standard hero shooter fare. You got your King of the Hill capture point maps with best 2 out of 3 to win, this one's called Domination. You got your escort mode called Convoy, where the offensive team guards a vehicle on its journey while the defensive team tries to stop them. Then you have Convergence, which is basically Convoy but with 3 checkpoints, and the offensive team has to capture the first point where the vehicle is before they can start the journey to its destination. Like I said, standard stuff, nothing super innovative here when it comes to game modes. There are also custom games, however you can't really do any fun, wacky game modes or tweak character values or anything like Arcade and Overwatch. Yeah, I know, I'm mentioning Overwatch again. Granted, the game just released, so maybe that's something we'll see in the future. As of now, Quick Match seems to be the go-to place to play and where I spent all my time and will undoubtedly do so going forward. They also have an arcade mode, which I assume changes every so often. The round they had going this bout was called Conquest, which is basically just deathmatch. You go around killing people, whoever reaches the target goal first wins. Haven't tried it, not really interested. I also didn't try competitive mode. I have zero to no interest in playing competitive. I haven't played a ranked or ladder mode since way back in my StarCraft 2 days like 900 years ago, so can't comment on that. Hope it's working out for whoever's taking part though. As for me, I play games for fun and to relax, not to be competitive. So yeah, each to their own, breakdown. Combat, the main draw of the game, is for the most part fun. I wouldn't have played so much or kept playing if it wasn't. Each hero brings something new and different to the game, each has their own strengths and weaknesses, or in the part of Wolverine, just weaknesses. But one thing I did notice is that pretty much every single hero is fun to play, no matter their effectiveness. I didn't think I can recall a single hero that I didn't enjoy trying out. Some I enjoyed more than others, mind you, but there wasn't one that I thought was boring. Support, tank, DPS, they're all fun to me, which is awesome because I tend to fill in matches whatever class type is needed. I fill by class type first, and then I fill by whatever synergy is needed or best for the match. This means I don't play the same heroes over and over every match, and I tend not to play the heroes that I want to play the most, like my squirrel girl. I loved her in Marvel Heroes, and I love her here. Loads of sexy furry fun. But it's pretty amazing that they managed to pull this off. I tend to be somewhat picky when it comes to what characters I enjoy in these sorts of games, so having all the heroes be fun to play was somewhat of a welcome surprise, yeah. When I played Overwatch and I had to fill for tank, I was always sighing and rolling my eyes because outside of Winston, I just didn't enjoy the tank classes. They were boring as hell to me. In Marvel Rivals, the tanks are super fun. They're like brawlers more than tanks. The support's also super fun. They're super strong when it comes to healing, but also can be dangerous damage-wise as well. Some might argue the healing in the game is a bit too strong given how much damage the supports can do. Personally, I don't feel that way. I think the healing is strong, but not necessarily overpowered or anything. But it also varies on which hero you're playing. More on that later. So all in all, the combat is pretty damn great, but not without its flaws, which we'll cover in the criticism section at the near end of this video. Now, all the positive feedback aside, bit of a disclaimer, this is how I felt when I was playing the beta in Overwatch way back when. And now, well, can't stand Overwatch. This is unfortunately a problem with virtually all PvP games. The game is the most fun when no one knows what they're doing, but as things progress and the players get more experience, and then the dreaded meta starts taking form in competitive mode, which inevitably seeps into quick match, everyone starts getting pissy and try hard and sweaty no matter what mode you play. The game stops being a game played for fun at that point and eventually turns into a second job that you have to constantly invest time into in order to stay skilled enough to enjoy. And the other players start getting pissed even in quick match if you're not playing like a top 500 Grandmaster Platinum Titanium Uranium Richard Simmons player. This is what always happens. It sucks, but that's just the nature of the beast when it comes to PvP games. Not the fault of the game, not the fault of the developers, it's a community thing. So for the time being, Marvel Rivals is pretty great in that regard. No one gets upset if you're not playing like a pro. Many of us are trying out heroes for the first time. Others are just getting into the game this next week and figuring things out for themselves. But in all my time playing, I think I have around 20 hours in, I have only had one person be a bit of a douche to me because I ulted as Luna Snow at a time they felt was not ideal. This was the first time I had ever played Luna Snow, so naturally I wasn't an expert. They felt like they needed to point that out in a rude manner. That was it. Never had any issues since or before that. Everyone seems to be fine with us not all being pro players in quick match. If only it would stay that way. But for those who aren't interested in diving into PvP and would prefer to learn the ropes or just stick with playing against AI, the game does have a cooperative versus AI mode where you can play against a team of bots. This mode has 3 different difficulty ranks, from 1 star being easiest to 3 stars being hardest, and it's not a bad place to tinker around in and learn some heroes. Yeah, you know? The bots do have like aimbot accuracy at times though, so just be warned as that can be a little annoying. But on top of that, you also have the aforementioned custom games where you can just play solo with a team and enemy team of bots if you wish. No other players need to be involved, those stinky dirty gamers. Or you can simply take part in the practice range where I spent like the first hour of my game time learning the various heroes, mechanics, and whatnot. Lots of options here for any type of player. Marvel Rivals isn't bad in that department. It's fairly accessible to the casual gamer. I mean, the third-person perspective contributes to that nicely, I would say, as well. Not only is it cool to actually see your hero in different skins and whatnot, but allows for easier gameplay for a noob like myself. And one last thing before we get into my criticisms, the art style and aesthetic. I love it. I think it's great. It has this like painted look, kind of like a comic rather than just your standard 3D game, which I'm sure they intended, but given I didn't look into the game at all before playing outside of just the trailers and just went in blind, I was pleasantly surprised by the graphical style. I also enjoy the voice acting and banter between the characters. With the exception of Star-Lord, none of the banter feels weird or cringy. It's pretty fun and cool and humorous, like a lot of the dialogue in the MCU that many of us used to like. So bravo to the art department and writing team, they did a good job. But now to the downsides. What are my criticisms? For starters, no Silver Surfer. What the hell, man? He's my favorite Marvel superhero and he's nowhere to be found. Blasphemy! At least I still got my squirrel girl. All seriousness, as mentioned in the introduction to this video, the game has an insane amount of cutscenes and animation transitions that are just so oppressive. I mean, look at this. You can go to check out the hero skins, you click on the hero, cutscene. You click on a skin, cutscene. You go to the store and click on anything, cutscene. There's like 2 or 3 cutscenes every time you start a match before you get into the game, as well as just starting up the game in general. After every match, you can't just instantly queue up for the next. The game forces you to sit through the victory or defeat scene, the MVP screen, neither of which you can skip through by the way, and eventually land on the team recognition screen where you can finally re-queue or leave the match. That's like 30 seconds worth of scenes you're forced to sit through, and 30 seconds in gamer time is basically half our lives. Super annoying. Granted, for the most part, you can skip most of these cutscenes and they look great, so I don't want to knock the arts team, but they're just everywhere all the time and it's so annoying after a while. Now, what are my issues with Quick Match? Like I said, it's fun, I enjoy it, but there does seem to be an issue with matchmaking in the sense that virtually every match I was in is extremely one-sided. I'm talking probably 4 out of 5 matches on average. It was rare to get a nice, balanced, close match. Either one side would have all the kills and the other like none, or vice versa. I've had plenty of matches where my team was spawn camped the entire time, or my team was spawn camping the enemy team the entire time. Still got sore butt from some of those matches, but there are some theories that some of the matches use bots to fill in for players, which isn't unheard of as some games do that. This was based on some people seeing patterns of the players' names having the same style and structure, as well as those players all playing like trash or very formulaic. No solid evidence, but this may be a possibility. I don't know for sure, but yeah, them lopsided matches, man, just ugh. And some of this has to do with map design as well, because some maps really screw over the offense team, especially when it comes to convergence maps, because they'll have a pretty much one exit point with little to no cover, and the defense team can just unload on them as they walk out. Clintar is a prime example of this, just not great. Still, doesn't mean all hope is lost, as the team can still break through if played well. It just feels like offense is very much fighting an uphill battle on some of these maps. But at the end of the day, player skill will matter more in these cases. Just annoying at times, and I feel it may get worse as people learn the game more. Or better, who knows. I already mentioned some of the problems with map design and how it doesn't really allow for that many alternative routes, but again, not that big of a deal. Performance is an issue. Apparently this game is very GPU intensive, and I've had 4 crash to desktops. Luckily, only 1 was while I was in game, the others was while I was in the menus. But still, 4 crashes is no bueno. That said, they did just put a patch out as of the writing of this script that supposedly addresses a lot of the crashing issues. On Ultra, I'm getting like 50 to 60 frames per second, which isn't ideal, so I cut down to their recommended optimized settings of medium, where I'll get around the 80 to 100 frames per second range on average, but it can still dip down to the 60s at time when a lot is going on screen. Not great, unfortunate. There's also either some latency issues or hitbox issues as well. Hit scan characters seem to be affected by this the most. I was really struggling on Punisher and Black Widow when I would have people dead to rights in my reticle only for the shot to not register. I mean, I had problems with Punisher missing with his shotgun when my opponent's entire body was covering the reticle at point blank range. This happens quite a bit, but not all the time, so it just feels buggy, I guess, man. I don't know. Don't really see this problem with projectile heroes though, so maybe it's just a latency thing. I have no idea. Could be I just suck at hit scan, which is more than a possibility. But hitboxes do seem to have a problem in general. Some heroes can melee at short range while others have to be right on top of people. Iron Fist can punch you from a mile away, for instance, but Thor has to be within breathing distance, as I find you can simply backwalk away from him while he's swinging and missing everything from a foot away while just shooting at his face the whole time until he gets his dash back. There's a lack of consistency there when it comes to the melee heroes. Okay, let's move on to monetization. This is the infamous NetEase games we're talking about after all. So they do that thing where you can purchase coin packs or whatever, but the amount in a given pack is just under the amount of the cost of skins or whatever, so you have to buy another pack in order to supplement what you want. I fucking hate that shit, and they do it here. As you can see on screen, there's a discount right now, so it doesn't cost the actual price at the moment, but the normal price for a lot of these skins and bundles or whatever costs 2,200 of this lattice or latest currency. Is it lattice? It's a mathematical term, right? I don't know. But the closest you can buy is the pack that offers 2,180 lattices. Yeah. You then have to convert them, and as far as I can tell, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. That's dirty. I hate it. I hate it when studios do this. Fuck that. That said, these are just for skins. This is a free-to-play game, and all you can purchase thus far are skins, emotes, MVP screens, and a player name change card for $5. All heroes are free-to-play on Access. From what I've seen, the skins on average cost $6 for recolors and $16 for premium skins. You then have $20 for the bundles that include some of the other stuff like the MVP screens and whatnot. I don't know if that's expensive or not. Personally, I never bought skins in Overwatch, so I don't really have anything to compare it to. I bought quite a few League of Legends skins back in the day, but I don't even remember how much those cost. So is $16 for a premium skin egregious? Completely up to you. If the game is solid and there's no predatory monetization schemes, for me, that's not that expensive. If I really like the game and want to support the devs in the game's future, $16 doesn't really bother me, to be honest. So I don't particularly see it as a problem, given I don't have to ever purchase anything, as it doesn't affect gameplay in the slightest. Unless we're talking about how all eyes may be involuntarily drawn below when using them Black Widow, Hela, and Psylocke skins. Yeah. Oh, they also have a mini battle pass that you can purchase for $5, and that unlocks a few unique skins that you can unlock by doing daily missions and whatnot in the battle pass. I'm too old to remember the day when battle passes weren't a thing, so I'll probably never get behind them. I just find them weird that you have to pay for the access to unlock stuff by playing the game. That's just very strange for me. But there are good ones and bad ones, you know. Overwatch's Battle Pass pretty much helped kill the game for most players and ushered it into the most negatively reviewed game on Steam, while Helldivers 2 was praised for its fair Battle Pass. So is $5 for a mini Battle Pass acceptable? Again, up to you. I don't take part in Battle Passes on principle, as I do not like nor respect the practice, but I'm sure it's fine for others, so more power to them. Now to the elephant in my pants, hero balance, the bane of every PvP game's development cycle. Here, it's no different. There are a lot of balance issues. This is just the nature of hero shooters and MOBAs in general. They're virtually impossible to perfectly balance. Too many synergy and counter factors involved, and too many human factors involved, that being a player-by-player basis in skill, technique, experience, knowledge, dedication, or whatever. All that said, I would at least admit that the imbalances here seem to be more of an underpowered problem than an overpowered one. I don't think there's any hero that I would consider to be overpowered. Maybe Hawkeye, I don't know. But of course, the game just came out and everyone is still learning it, so who knows what we'll all be saying in a month or hell even a week. But there are just some heroes you wouldn't pick if you're trying to compete because there are simply far better options. Wolverine, for example, is one of those heroes. There's not really a reason to pick him over, say, Iron Fist or Black Panther, who does what he does, but significantly better. There's also no reason to pick Black Widow over Hawkeye because he does everything she does, but significantly better. I mean, they took arguably the most hated Overwatch hero, Hanzo, that stupid diarrhea mucus ball, and put him in this game in the form of Hawkeye. Yay, hope you like blind shooting one-shots because you're going to get plenty of that crap here. So sick of these types of heroes. Antithesis of fun when you're just playing against them anyways, just Ugh, don't get me started. Okay. There's also not really much reason to play Storm when you get Iron Man. Scarlet Witch and Genji, Psylocke can also be top picks in almost every match because of what they can do. Cloak and Dagger are fine, but there's far better supports. Sigma is... Damn it, Magneto doesn't appear to bring much to the table compared to the other tanks. Adam Warlock I'm baffled by, to be honest. I just don't ever see a reason to pick him as a support when you have Jeff, that little piece of shit, Rocket, Luna, Snow, and Mantis, who are just far superior healers and supports in general. But if you like these heroes, you could still play them and probably do okay, but you're going to be at a disadvantage the entire time most likely. But again, this is a first impression, so maybe people that will be playing this far more than I, the type 16-hour gamers, Hot Pocket rappers, and Mountain Dew cans littered throughout, butt hairs grown through their ratty gym shorts that end up melding with the fabric of their gaming chair. Yeah, those ones. I'm sure they'll be able to figure out some niche ways to use these heroes, but for a casual gamer like yours truly, I just don't see it. Groot is another one. He's fine, I've done okay on him, but when I get on Captain America, Pennypecker Parker, Venom, or Thor, it's like night and day. You can just do so much more with them as far as tanks/vanguards go. And I'll say again, I don't think there's any overpowered heroes in the game really, but there sure as hell are some that just aren't fun to play against. Spider-Man and Iron Man, for example, are so annoying to fight. Spider-Man just has unlimited mobility, a lot of damage, and his hitbox is the size of Keanu Reeves' ego. So good luck trying to kill him, even if he doesn't know what he's doing. If he does, have fun with that nightmare. Iron Man is very oppressive, and it doesn't help that he has infinite flight, so he can just hover in the background or float around the outskirts of the map, harassing the backline where melee characters literally can't touch him. I would do this on that Clintar map I was talking about earlier, and I was pretty much unstoppable. This was a huge problem I also had with Pharah in Overwatch. Again, not overpowered given Iron Man moves rather slowly without his shift ability, but just super annoying to play against. Iron Fist is another one that's a super annoying noob stomper. He can melt you in an instant while taking no damage if you're playing a hero with no CC capabilities or high mobility. Pretty much a free kill for him, and there's not much you can do about it. I feel like he might be one of the first to get a nerf, to be honest, but people just need to focus him down and not attack him while he's defending. That's a good start. Like I said, noob stomper, but still not fun to play against in the slightest. Lastly, you got this little fucking piece of shit, twat waffle shit, stain asshole bitch motherfucker, G-strap anal beat Jeff the Landshark. Not only is this guy probably the best healer in the game, but he has an insane amount of damage and without a doubt the most annoying ultimate ever. It's a devouring mechanic where he consumes all enemies and allies in range and then can travel around doing damage to the enemies before spitting them out. Problem is, this lasts for 6 seconds. 6 seconds, which means he can take his sweet time to run to the edge of the map, which is always within 6 seconds reach, especially given Jeff's hide and seek mode, which gives him a huge movement bonus and allows him to heal and climb up walls at the same time, and he can simply spit out all the heroes right off the map or just jump off himself, killing everyone he's devoured. It's pretty much a guaranteed kill because good luck trying to focus him down when all you can do is shoot his tiny little dorsal fin. Fuck this hero, I play him all the time. But again, not overpowered, just not fun to play against. So yeah, not much they can do there, I suppose, as what is or is not fun to play against is super subjective. Outside of the time on Jeff's ultimate, I don't feel like anything should be nerfed in the game at the moment. But hopefully the devs will take some feedback into account and at least buff some of the weaker heroes to catch up with the rest. I feel bad for all the Wolverine fans wanting to play him only to find out he kinda sucks. Unfortunate, poor Widow Wolverine. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Marvel Rivals, not a bad start I would say. Not perfect, but not bad. Even good, actually. Is it worth your time? Well, I would say absolutely if this is your cup of tea. It brings just enough innovation to the hero shooter genre while still retaining some consistency. Hopefully they will be able to address the balance issues without completely wrecking certain characters, as well as maybe open up some of the maps a bit more to allow for more pathway diversity. Not holding my breath on that one, but... However, balance issues aside, I think they really need to work on the performance optimization because there is definitely some issues there, and I feel for those who may have weaker rigs than mine. It seems a lot of people are having performance issues, not just me. All that criticism said, the game is free, so I'm fairly lenient on certain aspects and am willing to be patient in watching it grow and hopefully improve. If these criticisms aren't enough to shake your resolve, then you may want to give Marvel Rivals a download and get into some sexy superhero and villain smashing. Hope you like it. I do. I just hope that lasts. We'll see. Pays to be a patient gamer after all. Let me know if you guys have any reservations or temptations given this video. For those who have played already, what do you think? You feel I'm wrong about the balance issues? You think I'm being too hard on the map design? Fuck Hawkeye and Jeff the Landshark? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching this far. This has been Jarek Defiler, the casual gamer today. Just chilling with some Marvel Rivals. Yeah, You all have a good morning, afternoon, evening, or night, depending on where you are. And go slaughter some land sharks. Peace.